Hello and welcome to our podcast, Unmuzzled Conversations. Every week on a Thursday we have our podcast, and we have been talking about over our Series 1 and Series 2 Glasgow and Glaswegians from the 1940s up to the present day. We are Glaswegians, born and bred, and given our wit, hopefully, and our point of view of topics of those times. But today we're talking about something different. Today my brother Stuart has the spotlight. We're on part 2 of his story of, it's called A Bam Abroad. Stuart had this incredible experience and journey of spending some time abroad, and he's given us already part 1 last week, so we're going to pick up on the story this week on part 2, and I guess we're going to call this A Tit in Tunisia, because that is where we're going to.
Yes, that's what it's called. That's the official title.
That's the official title of this chapter. And Stuart, now known as Stuart d'Afrique. Okay.
C'est moi.
That's him. So let's wire in to part 2, and we're going to pick this up as Stuart has been describing his time spent in Algeria, and he's now crossing over the border to Tunisia. So we're going to pick up you arriving in Tunisia, what your thoughts are, your hotel, what's your first impressions of Tunisia, Tunis. Stuart.
That's right,
so let's pick up there, please, Stuart.
Okay. So, I already said we're a part of a long journey from, the other side, which
by taxi.
Yeah, by taxi. But the taxi ride was good. The driver was good, an excellent guy, and I had three excellent
passengers,
fellow passengers who were all lovely people. And again, I made a friend of one of them. I went to spend some time at his place. But so we're getting to Tunis a long way. I can't recall just how long, but a long way.
It's like a full day of travelling almost, Stuart.
It must have been. No, it wasn't 2.
Day, right.
It was, but it was certainly overnight.
Day and night,
overnight, aye. So we're finally getting to Tunis, and I could describe the road. It was really shocking. It was like the Great Western Road, where in the Knightswood End, where you've got a central reservation that's got grass in it, and either side there's grass and the pavements, right? Yeah. So when you're getting towards Tunis, there is piles and piles of rubbish. And it's obviously it's not just like litter. It's rubbish that's come off trucks, because you could see just kind of
like
bundle.
Fly tipping. Really.
Aye, only it's not very fly. Somebody just emptied truckloads of builders' rubble and all sorts of things. And the most bizarre thing that I recall was somebody had dumped a whole lorry load of empty plastic water bottles, and there was sheep wading through it. A couple of these sheep down there, all thinking, this is quite interesting. I wonder what this is. And you think,
that's wild, isn't it?
Squalor, total squalor. And you think, what are people thinking about? Because Tunis, Algeria is not a holiday place. People don't go
Tunis
there.
Is.
But Tunis is. Tunisia, a lot of them.
Do you think it's still like that now, Stuart, 10 years later?
I don't know.
Yeah.
There wasn't any sign. There wasn't any sign that they're clearing or doing anything about this.
And this is the road leading into the capital.
It's the main road. It's
to
the main.
Tunis.
But having said that, probably not many tourists come via Algeria to Tunis, but I mean, it is there. It's the main road in and out of the city, going south and west. So there it is, and it's miles and miles and miles of builders' rubble in the middle of the road and either side, and it's
so does that mean there wasn't really any space for pedestrians to walk, even if they wanted to?
Exactly, Christina. You'd have to walk over the rubbish or walk through it.
I guess what's in my
walk
mind.
in the fields. There weren't houses at this point.
So it's like pavements for rubbish.
Aye,
almost.
Aye. Yeah. So the people were walking in the fields. The rubble was maybe about 5-6 metres wide, a big mound of whatever it was. All different things.
Do you think it would have been rats and things there as well?
If there was food, there was certainly rats in it, Christina.
It's
horrible. It's just, the idea of a breaking down. You imagine breaking down at the side of the road and looking at this, you go, fuck.
You also mentioned as well, Stuart, that as things continued, that you noticed people were just themselves and as individuals throwing rubbish out the car, and there was no sense.
Later on,
litter, not fly tipping, but just general litter.
I met this family later on in Tunisia, and went and stayed with them, and they were lovely people, but they had no sense of the environment whatsoever. I'd be driving along and they'd be fucking slinging, drinking juice or cans of fucking. I'm like, oh fuck! I hope nobody stops me, because you've got to be dead careful. A foreigner doing almost anything in countries like that. I mean, in Europe as well. You think, any excuse to get money off you, basically, would do. So you need to be awful careful. But they didn't give a shit. But again, they were nice people. Just the way they were.
So you're on your way now. Did the taxi actually drop you at the hotel, Solimar?
It did. I asked them to take
And
me.
did they go to the other people's destinations as well?
They more or less, they got off in the centre of the city.
Right.
And Hotel Solimar, or the Heartbreak Hotel, as I called it, it was a good few miles further on. So, and he dropped me there. You know, he dropped me there. And he said, don't go to this hotel. It's not a good hotel. And I said, well, you know, one of my pals said it was, you know, the guy that
But
I
was
trusted.
this not the thing that you thought Geraldine might
Yes,
be arriving?
yes.
And that was another reason why you felt you couldn't just change
No,
your mind?
I actually got there. First of all, Sufjan said that's where he went every year and he loved it. He said it was great.
In the summer, though.
Of course.
Yeah,
Well,
not
obviously
off-season.
I've been in the winter, no, I've been off season.
yeah.
So I took his word for it, and he was turned out he was mistaken. And later on, when he says, you know, I thought he was really apologetic. He says, I'm really sorry. It was great when I was there. I says, well, it was great when I was there 30 years before as well, you know. But
So tell us about that as well, that you actually realised, Stuart, you had been there 30 years before.
Well, I have to just
what was it you
briefly-
saw that made you think, oh, wait a minute, I've been here before?
It was, the hotel itself, it was really, really strange. It's part of a 3-hotel complex, right? And you could travel between them freely. But at either side of them, there was gates, you know, and it was like Fort Apache. And the Apaches were outside, all waiting to get in or to grab you.
Oh, really?
And anyway, so the experience was not a good experience in the hotel. The guy who took the receptionist, an old guy, you know, a cheeky bastard.
Yeah.
It's as if I was annoying him being there, you know. And there was no. These 3 hotels were claimed to be the 3 biggest hotels in Africa. They're enormous, hundreds and hundreds of rooms, and they were empty. I was the only person in. And one of the nights I was staying there was somebody wandering about, shouting a name. You know, I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that. So it was, I might be the name of a dog or a cat for all I know. But it was just, and I was fucking, I'm like, oh, fuck this. So I boarded that door as well. I barred the door as well, but nothing happened. It was okay. Yeah. And I couldn't get away from the place quick enough. But yeah, you're right. Geraldine had been texting me, and she was talking about meeting up with me in Malta. Now, I didn't realise this, but I was feeling quite ill. I wasn't in any pain, but I was feeling really, really tired. And I hadn't been doing it, and I had hardly even been walking anywhere. I was like, something dodgy here. So she says, look, just go to Malta. Go to Malta when you leave here, and I'll meet. But I thought she meant she was going to come over to this hotel in Tunisia. And I thought, fuck, I've only stayed 1 or 2 nights, but I waited just to be absolutely clear that Geraldine wasn't coming here. So I stayed for another 3 or 4 days. It was a fucking nightmare of a place. So, well, so the time I'd been there before, right? Yeah. So I'm walking to the edge. I'm walking. There's nobody there. Remember these 3 giant hotels, maybe about 2 miles anyway, covering the 3 hotels, huge area. And the wind was wind's pounding. There was huge waves, and it was raining quite a lot of times. Really miserable, and the place was cold inside, and absolutely nobody would speak to me. Just fucking nobody speaking. Fucking right. So here I am, and so I walks to the very end of it, and I just goes out the gate, and I thought, I've been here before, and I remembered that I had been there before. I had been staying in the middle hotel. This was the end hotel, but I had to get to where I had been. I had walked through this hotel, and this was the very gate I had been at 30 years before.
30 years before?
30 years before with the family, right? Now,
God.
absolutely hilarious. So what we do? Well, this is the middle of summer. We've all got a summer game.
So you're talking about your own family holiday now,
That's right, yeah. So I remembered this, and it was so funny. I'd actually forgotten this had even happened. So this is the 30 years before. We walked outside the gate, and there's all these guys, these fucking Apaches, all waiting to grab you and sell you all sorts of stuff. And this
Pounce on you.
And this guy who'd a donkey and a barra, and he's quite close, a young guy in his 20s. He says, you come with me to my brother's carpet shop. I take you. And I said 2 words. No, thank you. You are from Glasgow. I have been to Glasgow. My brother at Strathclyde University. Glasgow, great place. Fuck the Pope. Tom's your bass. Fucking rhyming all this graffiti stuff. I'm fucking rolling about laughing.
Couldn't you make that up?
How could you make that up?
Never in a million years are you ready for that.
Tons of it. You were tons of the gang slogans and the sectarian slogans. And I went, oh, fuck.
Absolutely brilliant.
I was almost tempted to go with him, but I didn't.
Aye. For the patter.
But I didn't. No, aye.
Unbelievable. So the donkey in the car.
I'm just going to jump in with you. I'm going to carry. We're going to go on holiday. We're going to carry a carpet back with us.
So can I ask you, 30 years ago, was it better? I'd like to hope that it was. And it would be in the summer, of course, with you and your family were there.
It was lovely.
So it's just kind of maybe died.
In the winter. And I suppose it's like going to Blackpool in the winter, you know.
Grim.
So that was something different, you know. So I went back. I stayed there for a wee while. And I went into Tunis a couple of times, and again something really, really funny. And the weather. The first time I went, the weather was okay. So the Grand Souk was quite big, but you couldn't believe how big it was. I mean, there was streets off it. I can't carry it anyway.
Yeah.
So I just stuck to the one main road. I thought, I'm not going to be up there. I didn't feel in any danger, but I maybe get lost in here.
Plus, the fact you weren't feeling well.
No, I wasn't feeling.
So
I think that's when I noticed it,
cautious as well.
That's what but luckily I wasn't in any pain. I just felt tired, and I didn't feel tired. Why should I feel tired? You know? There's no reason for this. So anyway, so I'm walking about. So the second, or maybe the third time I went, it had been raining, so there wasn't many people about. So the guys were quite anxious to sell you stuff. And before, and they didn't really bother you because there was plenty of people walking about. And I'm not on my own, but very, very few people around. And they're all trying to grab me to get me. And I'm going, no, lashukran. That means no thank you. Lashukran. I mean, polite. Lashukran. But they still fucking get nipped to you walk by, and when you went to the next one, he would nip you. So I'm walking up, and I see this guy's stall, and I thought, what I'll do is, I mean, I've been a bit sexist about this. I said, I've got a lot of girls and women in my life, so I'll get them bangles. I'll get them all a bangle, so it's something. The boys, what do they want? You know, a fucking bangle. What else can I get? So I've got about 12 bangles, different types of bangles, and so this guy had all these different bangles, and I'm kind of looking at them, and the guy says, everything in my shop is €2 or 2 dinars.
2 dinars.
2 dinars. I went, oh, that's not much. It's about 50 pence. I'm fucking right. So I says, come in. So I'm looking about, and then I'm all these different ones. He goes, this is real. This is not from China. Everybody else's stuff is from China. This is real. And he gets a lighter and he starts to burn it. I went, no, burn it, just to prove
that it was authentic.
So I buy about 10, right? Now that should be 20 dinars, right?
Yeah.
So I says, that's fine. How much is that? Combien? You speak English anyway. He says, that is 45 dinars. I went, what? I said, you told me everything was 2 dinars. I say that to get you into my stall. You know, I was like, fucking brilliant. You deserve it. So I'm giving the guy the money. And he's speaking really, really, these guys speak in bold caps. Yeah. That's how I describe how they speak. You know, they're dead funny. They're as fly as fuck, but they're dead funny. And so he's speaking to me dead loud, and you know, as if he's got a sale, you know, he's sold something to a dick.
Yeah.
So, and then he goes, this is a very good man. This is a very, very good man. And I'm walking up and going, fuck, which is a sign this is a dick. He's got some money, you know. Grab him. Everybody. Yeah, it was even worse. But I thought, I'm just bailing out now. I'm not going any further because I'm going to have to go buy him again when I come back. God knows what he'll try to sell me then. Yeah. So that was quite funny as well. So these were the only things I wanted to take home.
So the hotel, outside of that hotel, Solimar, or the Heartbreak Hotel, as you called it, was really probably one of the worst, or the worst?
The worst. The worst, Christiane.
I'm presuming the food was. Did you have a breakfast in the morning?
No, the breakfasts were just shit. They would give me. I don't eat cheese, unfortunately, so they would give me some bread and packs of butter, a coffee, and a croissant with cheese, and
is that included in the price?
Aye. It was quite cheap, but I mean, I don't want to go places just because they're cheap. You want to go where you can
particularly in countries like that.
But it's strange to stay in a giant. I mean, a hotel the size of the Kelvin Hall,
like a ghost town.
Aye, and huge rooms.
Yeah,
it's that, and you think in the summer this place will be rocking and rolling. You know, full of people, gigantic rooms and playrooms. You know, with kids stuff in it, and I'm the only person there. Or the only guest there, and the staff are anything but friendly. You know,
they probably put these winter people on. You know what I mean?
That's who they were, you know.
Like locals, and maybe import better people for the summer that are a bit more bright and breezy.
Aye.
Yeah. So how many? Well, I wrote down here that you went in to look at the city and found that there was an ancient site of Carthage.
Carthage, it
as
really
well.
does exist.
So tell us about that. I was quite intrigued by that.
Yeah, well, this guy, I wish I could remember his name. This guy who was a graphic designer. He was really pally with me, and he said, "Oh, give me a phone, please phone me, and I'll take you have dinner at his house." So I did, and his mum and his mother.
This is not Mostafa, is it? Mostafa?
I don't think so. No. This isn't Tunis.
Khalid? No.
I met Khaled later.
No, that's
Met
right.
Khaled later.
Right, okay.
Musfra was his place, wasn't it?
I don't know.
his
This is a
town.
name I've got that ties in with that time.
I met Khaled later. I goes to his house, and his mother's a widow, and he's got a younger sister, and they were lovely people. And quite a strange thing was when you look at the houses, they all look unfinished. They look a fucking mess, most of them, you know. And what he was saying is when they build the house, they build the wall of a level above where you live as standard, because they assume that you will build onto that at some point. And he had planned to do that, because he told me when he was in Tunisia, his fiancée was Tunisian, and that's where he had been. So, and their marriage was going to be the next year, and they were going to build onto this part.
Because what would happen is the next level of the family move in the floor above.
That's right.
So the mum and dad are at the bottom. The next floor would be one of the sons, and then the floor above that could be the other son. So they're all living like in a townhouse with their own floor.
The only thing about it is because it looks terrible.
Yeah.
Because there's always, until they finish it, but I didn't see any houses that were finished or any buildings that were finished.
Yeah.
They're always like two walls like that sticking up, and you think, it looks awful, you know. But his house was lovely, and they were really nice people.
So he took you to the site of ancient Carthage.
Carthage, and do you know it's actually a station in the metro, Carthage.
Oh, really?
Aye.
God's sake.
I thought Carthage, you know, I'm quite into history, but I knew it existed. The Romans wiped them out. But I thought that the city was wiped out, so they didn't even know where it was. But they do know where it was, and there's a few things that could take me, tell me to see ancient monuments. But the Romans did quite a good job in trying to wipe out everything that was ever there. But the site is known, and I didn't realise it was known.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It was like a 1960s hippie place.
Right.
It was a wee bit like Santorini. You know, with the white and the blue roofs, and it was lovely.
Nice.
It was lovely, yeah.
And what else did he show you round?
He showed me his office. He showed me his office. He showed me some work that he had done, some graphic design work that he had done, and things like that. And I was actually horrified because he had stuff. He had this really nice. He was in. He's got a partner. And I was just I went in, and he was just talking to his partner, probably explaining why I was there. And he'd you know, like a lot of graphic design places, you would go in and be a table with a lot of other work examples lying there. So he just says, "Well, that's something we've done recently. We're really proud of that." And it was really, really well printed, a beautiful book. It was like it was A4 wide. You know, it was quite wide. So you opened it up, and it was different. I can't even remember what it was. It was photographs of the city, probably, and it was done really well. There was like a tissue sheet.
Oh, between.
In it,
Nice.
You know, in it, you know, it was really
Lovely,
beautiful.
yeah.
And it was in French and in English, really. Quite big type, say about 24 point on the left, and the photograph on the right, a description of what it was, and there was tons of mistakes in it.
I hope he's not watching this.
I thought, no, that's why I never put them in Facebook.
Yeah.
I thought, fuck, you know, you really you should have got somebody who's. And the thing was that they would get somebody who. English is a very difficult language to spell, Christine.
Yeah,
absolutely. Must be
even
the worst,
for us
it's
children
the worst
when you're
language
learning
in
it.
the world.
So many versions of each word.
Well, it's not so much versions. There's so many.
Spellings.
Almost half of the words in English, there will be a silent letter in it. You know, all the time. And it'd be dead easy. But you just think, get a native English speaker to look at this. You know that you get something that makes sense. It does make sense. But you have tons of spelling mistakes. And I think there was even some spelling mistakes in French. I'm going, fuck. I know what that word means, but I don't think you spell it like that. But, you know, it was a beautiful document, but it's just a shame, you know.
Yeah.
And
you actually said in the book that you thought you might get a job. You might freelance, you know,
doing
as
that.
somebody who could
the
do
thing was
that.
my French wasn't good enough for Christine, because it was trying, and there'd be tons of people more qualified than me to do it. He really just needed somebody to say to him, look, but I didn't do it. I didn't want to insult the guy.
No. You don't really know him that well at the end of the day.
You know, there's tons of mistakes. And the guy might have went, fucking thrown it away or something. No, I don't want that to happen. You know.
So this is all part of you being in Tunis. How many days did you stay then at the Heartbreak Hotel? Because you found out now that Geraldine wasn't coming.
Probably about 4.
4 days.
Four too many.
Four too many.
For the longest days of my life, you know. But and then again, I had something else that's quite funny. I guess I can't remember. I was going to go somewhere, and I got a taxi, and there's this big rough bastard comes out. And he's like one of these people you'd think you would see in an American prison. Big guy, fucking really rough. And he was really, really nice. Yeah. And see when he was driving, I didn't realise. For some people, they hate Libyans and they hate Moroccans, and there's quite a lot of each driving about. So you would see a Moroccan car. These fuckers, these fucking Moroccan. What the fuck are they doing? I'm like, you know, and he's quite aggressive. He's fucking trying to fucking bastards. And then, so he's taking me to. I think he's taking me to an ATM. Now this is quite a dodgy thing. That's right. I've got all my gear with me, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to get out of this taxi and go into it and go to the ATM. What if he fucks off with all my stuff?
Yeah.
I thought, well, what was that? I'm not going to take it out. It looks really bad. The guy might come and batter me anyway. You know. so I thought, so I just left my stuff in it, but then got my money. Nothing. He was absolutely fine. You know?
It just goes to show you
just
can't.
The appearances, you know, and his behaviour was pretty outrageous to other people, but he was fine with me.
Was this where you found a market that was like Paddy's Market?
Where was that again? I can't
And
remember.
where you volunteered to Medicine Sans Frontières? Was that in Tunis?
No, that was in Algiers. That was in
Was
Algiers.
it?
Yeah. I was trying to get to the it was on the Rue de Robert F. Kennedy in Algiers.
Right, well, I think I've also got my timings wrong here then. I must have missed a bit here. I think you should tell everybody about why you wanted to do that and what and why you didn't. You weren't able to, if you like, although I've got it a wee bit mixed up.
Aye. Maybe you're right, Christina. Maybe it was Tunis. I can't remember now. Anyway.
But it was something you wanted to do. You'd had that in your mind that if you found that, you were going to
Okay, we'll go where
volunteer.
I was in Tunis. It was
wherever
Tunis.
it was.
It makes more sense.
It was
anyway.
something
in
you
Tunis.
wanted to do.
I wanted to. I thought, well, now that I realise how much it costs to go to all these different countries, I'll try and get at least to Mali and to the city of Timbuktu. It just sounds so romantic and things like that. So I thought, I'll try and get there. But there had been some sort of insurrection there. There were these, a lot of the terrorists who are still about, you know, Boko Haram and people like that. They were actually in Nigeria, but they were moving up and killing people. And they did attack Timbuktu. But the French being the colonial power, and people don't realise this, the French are everywhere in Africa. They're all colonies, never really left.
Yes.
Especially Legionnaires, they use them.
Yeah.
So I thought they're going to be going down there quite soon, or some of them are even there because I saw it in the news. I thought I'm going to go up and volunteer as a truck driver for MSF. You know, I thought I'll try and go in. So I went up to the French embassy,
right?
And it's completely surrounded by barbed wire and things like that. And they've got like tennis courts, but that would be open, but they've covered it completely with green plastic, so you cannot see in at all. And I thought, well, they're really taking this seriously, you know. And so there was a queue of people who were waiting to get in to get some sort of interview. I've got no idea, maybe visas, who knows. But there was guys with guns standing next to them in the queue. Oh, this looks quite dodgy, but I'll see if I can use them to do a bit of good and get me to Timbuktu. And obviously I'd be, you know,
helping out.
I'd be secure as well.
Yeah,
of
course.
Soldiers of it.
Yeah.
But I phoned up and they told me there was a week's waiting list to get into the queue.
Oh,
and I
crikey.
thought, fuck no. And who knows how long that's going to be. So I
just like after that, you've got the application, and then there
who
was
knows
something.
how long it would take to look.
Weeks,
and
maybe more.
He's too old. I thought, fuck knows, who knows, you know. But anyway,
Yeah.
it was just too long. I just thought I could go in and get an answer there and then on the day. I was prepared to queue up for a couple of hours, but I wasn't prepared to wait for a week, and I might not even get, you know, an answer. So that was that knocked in the head.
And then there was a thing in the book about seeing, and I think it was in the same place, and correct me if I'm wrong, the family of beggars, which I was quite horrified. Was that in Tunis too?
Yes,
Stuart?
it was. That
right.
was
so I'm in
awful.
the right place.
And it was. I had seen things like this in India, and it's one of the reasons I've got no ambition to go to Asia.
We've seen it on the telly, haven't we? Things like this, but I can't imagine what it's like to see.
People that professional beggars, but it's worse than you can imagine. They actually twist these kids' limbs into odd angles, and so they're permanently disabled,
disfigured,
and disfigured as well. And there was this a young guy, and I was giving everybody money, you know. Sufyan said that when I was here. I says I saw these people with kids begging. He says, "Oh, with Somali women." I says, "Aye." I says, "I gave the first one, when I turned the corner, I was fucking one at every corner." I thought, well, he says, "Oh, don't give them in." But I thought, Felt bad.
Easier
about it.
said than
Felt-
done. I mean,
felt bad.
they're immune to that kind of thing, but you coming across
Oh,
that for the
no,
first
it's
time, you could never be immune, could you? To seeing
Anyway,
that.
going back to this poor young boy, and he's
What age was he, Stuart?
I don't look like a teenage
Teenager?
boy. He was skeletal thin, and he was walking like a fucking spider. And I went to give him money, and his arm moved up the wrong way. I went, oh fuck, this is criminal. This should not be allowed. This boy should be taken away and helped somehow. And,
yes.
and whoever's running him should be in the fucking jail.
Was he on his own, or was it
He was on his own at that time, but I mean, no doubt somebody went up and take his money off him. And apparently it's people's parents that do that to him. It's shocking, just shocking to see that.
So we come on to another another bit, which is quite a big part of this particular story about hiring a car.
Aye,
Right.
That's right.
So this person, sorry, Stuart, is Khaled.
Khaled.
So how did you meet him?
Right.
Let's
So I'm
get into
finally
that.
leaving Heartbreak Hotel, right? And I'm going into Tunis, and I'm not really sure about where I'm going to go.
Into the city centre now. Right.
So I don't know where I'm going to go. And I thought maybe I'm going to go to Libya. Still thinking about Libya. So I've got to go. I could go south, but it was not so much dangerous. It was very hard to find somebody. I mean, you could say, could you take me to Timbuktu? They'd go, aye. And fucking bang. You drive me to the edge of the desert, fucking bang and shoot you, So I thought, nah, that's that. So I'll maybe get to Egypt. I was thinking about getting the bus. You can get told me, you can get a bus, and I think it's from Tobruk right to Benghazi. It's probably about 1,000 miles. It doesn't look much on the map, but it's a long way. I thought, quite fancy that. I'm thinking about that anyway. So I'm getting in. So I'm walking out Heartbreak Hotel, and there's all these buildings there. And I remember it had been quite a prosperous place, but for some reason the buildings had all been knocked down. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm assuming they're going to be building on them at some point, but there's no sign yet. And there was like a big. One building left, and it was like almost like a pub, but it was some sort of cafe, and it was full of workies. And I thought, I was just looking for the bus. The unhelpful bastards in the hotel had told me where the bus stop was, but they weren't very clear about it. And I was like, maybe go in there and ask. I thought, no, because I'm just not going to take the chance of getting in there. Who knows what's in there? And then there was also guys driving about in trucks, flatbeds. The same people driving it. And it was almost as if they had the heavy machine gun in the back. They didn't have that, but there was guys sitting in the back, and they were just driving about, going round in not quite circles, but coming back. And I go, fuck, what is this about? This is strange. So anyway, I gets to the bus, right? And I gets on the bus, and I just said to this young woman sitting across me, and I said, do you speak English? She goes, yes, and she's talking to me. And I was asking her something, and she didn't know. And then the bus driver said something to me, and he shouts, Khaled. So this boy comes over, and this is the Khaled that I met, and he tells him in Arabic, where I'm looking for. I'm looking for the railway station. That's what it is.
Was Khaled on the bus?
Aye, Khaled's on the bus.
Right.
Khaled's on the bus. So it turns out the girl I spoke to was his cousin. So, and it was something like Noe or something. She's a lovely girl as well. Mm-hmm. So he's very helpful. He actually takes me to the station, and the three of us are walking along, and she has to go somewhere, so she's away. And so he helps me to get
get the right bus.
To get the bus. So so he says to me, I've got to get. I'm now in Tunisia, and I need a different card.
For the phone.
For a phone,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
He says, yeah, but you need your passport. He says, I need a copy of your passport to buy a card. He says, if you give me your passport, I'll go next shop next door and get it. And I went, aye, okay. But that was fucking insane, But he did. He did it and brought it back. And but I mean, what would a passport worth? Maybe worth a couple of grand, a genuine passport, So anyway, he comes back, and that was done. He gave me the card, so that's fine. And then I went to the Hotel Solimar. No, Solimar. No. What was it called? The one it's the Arabic for harbour, and that's where I stayed there for a wee while. Right. And Khaled came and visited me a couple of times. Can you remember?
Is this? I haven't got the name of the hotel. That the next thing that I've got here is hiring a car.
Aye.
Hiring a car and driving, and the drivers and the pedestrians, the chaoticness of all. And the funny story about the guy with the carpet. That was carrying it, horizontally like that.
On the road,
so
aye.
I thought you could maybe describe the whole. Give us a picture of what was going on when people were driving, how mad it was.
So it was the craziest place ever to hire a car to drive. And one of the things you notice is there are no good cars in Tunis. There are none.
Right. Old, battered.
Maybe the odd old Mercedes or the odd old Jaguar. There are no Ferraris, there are no Maseratis,
and no
there are
cars.
no Beamers, there are nothing, because every car's got a batter on it. It's all bashed. So I thought, fuck, I'll hire it. He says to me, do you want to come? He was at university, and I spent about 4 days in this hotel. And he says, do you want to come up and stay with my family for a wee while? I went, aye, I'll go. I says, how do we get there? He says, we can do this. He says, well, normally I hire a car. I says, well, I'll hire a car. So I did hire the car. It was fucking nerve-wracking, absolutely nerve-wracking. And it was like years ago. And you remember what the Barras was like years ago, and all the streets were full of people. That's exactly what it was like. And you think,
on the road,
aye.
People walking on the road.
I've got to say, the people were all right. I mean, they weren't aggressive or anything, but you think, fuck, this is mental. And the standard of driving was shocking. Absolutely shocking. But I did get out, and we did get away.
Yeah. And I thought the other thing that I couldn't get over at all was using benzene.
Aye.
And how the filter was an old cotton vest.
Aye.
And
some of them had tights.
Picture,
aye. And some was a vest. Aye. And the thing was,
so there's actually no fuel as such. Everybody
there was
uses
petrol stations, but it's half and it's already cheap. Why the fuck are we doing this?
Yeah.
And Calla says, no, we're going there. It's much cheaper. Right. But one of the strange things was when I went into a petrol station at first, you go in and a guy comes out and serves you, no self-service, takes your car keys.
Oofed.
Takes your car keys, fills you up.
What does it take your car keys for?
So you can't drive away.
Oh, fuck.
Fills you up, you give him the money for it, and he gives you your car keys back. And the guys at the side of the road got this fuel, they're fucking, you're going off. I mean, if it was my own car, I would never have done it.
Yeah.
It's a hired car, but it was okay.
Yeah, but they're local, so they must know it's okay. Because they must.
Well, but you
I just
think,
never seen such a thing in my life.
Piles and piles of fuel.
And the guys are just standing at the road, so you just pull in. They're not like in a shop or anything. It's just two guys with like a pump thing.
Just two guys, and obviously they've had a pickup truck. They've dumped them there. The pickup truck's not even there. They're just two guys with a lot of fuel and a pump. And something don't even get pumped, it's fucking pouring.
I thought it was funny because in the picture you sent, you could actually see you said the filter here is a cotton vest. You're like, what?
See all the brown stuff at the top.
And you were saying that that Khaled, although a lovely guy, was the worst driver in the world. And although did he start off driving, or you started off and you couldn't deal with it? It was too stressful.
No, I did do it. I can't remember, Christine. He did do some driving.
But I remember it sounded as if you started to do the drive, but it was just so stressful for all the reasons you've just given that you finally sort of relinquished and said, okay, you do it. But it really was a white knuckle drive. He was a terrible, terrible driver.
I said it was like a triplicate. He was the world's worst driver, the world's worst passenger, and the world's worst direction giver.
Yeah, you mentioned that, the book about his direction.
Driving along, and their French, it's a droite, à gauche, direct, and old-fashioned French, it was tout droite, but it was dead fucking easy, Yeah. And I've come to, it's all roundabouts, everywhere's roundabouts.
Oh,
and
really?
in the countryside,
yeah.
And I'm driving up, and I'm fucking come on.
Hurry up.
Direction.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you.
You should fucking know this, man. This is your bit.
There's not that many
this
roads.
This is your bit, aye.
Right, so it took a long time to get to where he lived. It's a long, long way away.
But also before you got there was that checkpoint thing where you were stopped.
Oh, that was at night.
Were they militia guys?
Aye, they were.
So
we're driving along during the day,
and
there's at every single roundabout there's soldiers or policemen.
Really? Every roundabout?
But there's no that many roundabouts, Christine.
Right.
But funny enough, how you come, you get T-junctions, you get basically road junctions. We're driving back to my place almost, but every junction seemed to be a roundabout.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's the way they do it. So I went to live with Khaled and his family. They were very, very nice, and I stayed with them for about a week or so. But they kind of exploited me a bit with the car, which was fine. Yeah. I was happy to help out. So they
wanted to make good use of it.
I didn't mind. But what I did mind was the fact that they didn't fucking know where we were going.
Aye.
But anyway, so they said, look, can my dad and I, we'd love to go back. We came from this other village a couple of hours away. Could we go, since we've got the car, could we maybe go and visit it?
We've got the car. Aye.
I says, I want to travel. I'm happy. They're putting me up for nothing, and they were very, very kind to me. So it's the least I can do is to travel a bit with them. Unless it went wrong, then it would be a different matter. But anyway, so we're driving, and it's at night, and during the day, we never get stopped, but they're just checking you out. Maybe the roundabouts, because you've got to slow down at a roundabout. Maybe that's the reason.
That's
and
why they can have a good look at you. Yeah,
there's every chance that's the reason.
Could be.
So if a good look at you, and just fucking on you go. Fine. But at night we're driving along, and again there was soldiers at other roundabouts. But again, we were driving up, quite confident, going again and just look at you. So we're driving up to this roundabout, and it's the fucking worst time it could have happened. We're driving up, and I'm going, directions. And they're fucking humming in the horn. The two of them are talking to each other. I'm going, oh, fuck. So we're coming, and I've got to stop because it's fucking, I'm not going to go the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so they're talking away. These guys come over and, oh, fuck. And I'm thought, they're not wearing uniforms. Fuck.
This
and
is
I'm
not
looking
good.
down, and they've got normal shoes. And all they've got, obviously they've got weapons, but all they've got that's common to them all is a coat, like a leather coat with I don't know what the word was on it, but it was all the same coat and a symbol. Oh no, fuck, these guys are militia. Fuck. You know, you think they're not going to be disciplined. They might just be fucking banditos for all I know, you know. So and they've got these old weapons, these SLRs. The rest of them are the soldiers are modern, shorter, smaller, lighter weapons.
This is completely unofficial.
No, they were, Christine, they were official. But,
they were
I don't
official,
know that
just
at the
no
time.
uniforms.
Yeah, they
You
were,
just expect people to have uniforms, don't
yes,
you?
you do. The coat was a uniform. They all had the same coat.
Okay.
The same coat. And the woman went, oh, fuck, we're in trouble here, you know, and these fuckers don't know where we're going, you know. So they speak to me first, and I'm
in French?
In French. But again, Khaled speaks perfect English, so he's talking to them. And they say, right, everybody out of the car. I'm okay, get in the car. And again, luckily, I had everything to hand. I had my passport. I had all the documents for the vehicle on me, and then they look at it. But they were very, very polite. And it turned out they couldn't have been better guys to deal with. They were absolutely fine. You know, and they didn't try to get any money off me, you know, like some kid on fine or something for doing anything. And they just said, oh, on you go and enjoy your journey, and I hope you enjoy yourself in Tunisia, you know. So nice. that was fine, but it was a total shock, a happy shock that they behaved like that, because the potential for that going wrong was really, I mean, you're slowing down at a bit. They might think we're going to shoot them, because that's why they're there. I mean,
were they frightened with the family?
No, they didn't. I think they probably were, but they were quiet, Christine.
Yeah.
And I think they were both sitting in the back, so I really couldn't see, you know. But I think they'd have every right to be maybe frightened, because who knows what could have happened. And I said the soldiers, they could have taken the hump, thinking, you know, not just to give us a hard time, but maybe we're a threat to them. But as it turned out, we were, you know, and they were okay.
When you first arrived there, and it was a long journey in the car, and you were doing the driving, I think, if I can remember, then you thought, oh, this is it, we've arrived now at the parents' house. But actually, you had to drive another few hours to another, where there was an incident. I don't know if you'd want to talk about this, Stuart.
The guy,
first kiss by a man.
No, but we arrived at the first place, and then we went to visit this other family, you know, part of their family, and I'm completely unaware. And this guy, I kind of shakes hand with the father and the son, who'd be in his 40s, and he comes up and he fucking kisses me in each cheek. And I'm going, oh fuck! And he had right thick stubble. And I remember thinking, thank fuck I've shaved, because it'd been like Velcro. Fucking stuck to each other.
Stuck to each other.
But he was lovely. They were all nice. You know,
it's funny how one does that though, and the rest don't.
I don't know.
Yeah. So because nobody else has done it, you would be a little bit unprepared. I would imagine. Because you said you were in the queue and you were last. And you thought, I hope he didn't fucking kiss me. I don't know if I'm up for this. And I
held back, you know.
And then afterwards, you're sort of saying, fucking cheat, he never even shaved. Do you know what I mean? I'm a tourist. You should have made an effort. I thought that was quite funny as well. I'm a family friend. But Khaled's house, it was like something that you would think Jesus lived in. Oh,
it was modern inside though. Yeah. It was totally square, and in the top it was like a garden, a wall, a wall about a metre high, and I was in the top floor just below this flat level, and the chickens running about, and it was honestly, you think it was. You wake up in the morning and I'd hear the cock crowing and things like fucking things, but you'd hear them going. And it was scratch. And it was lovely. It was a lovely sound to hear. And his mother they just really, really thick. I don't know. Maybe it was a goat skin or something. This huge, heavy blanket, and it was lovely. It was lovely to sleep. It was dead heavy, and I thought. And when I was leaving, his mother rolled up, presented me. Oh fuck! It was heavy on my.
What kind of size of a goat would that be?
Maybe it was a couple of goats.
Yeah, maybe sewn together. Aye, but it's a shame you couldn't take it.
I know
though,
it's very much a shame.
It's a beautiful thing to have.
You know, and with certain types of people, to refuse a present can be quite insulting.
Oh yeah.
But I just couldn't take it. I mean, I just could not do it. And I explained to Khaled, and Khaled explained to his mother, and it was fine.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they would get it. And so you finally with them, or was it with Khaled, where you actually reached the Northern Sahara?
Yeah.
Was that with him?
So well, we just drove about. We drove about and we went to different places.
And you said that's where your desert boots walked
on the
desert.
On the desert
Not
for the first
very
time.
many people can say that.
Aye, that's right.
But you were also given your description of the desert, which isn't what you thought it would be. It's like kind of bushes and stuff
but
like
I
that.
mean, the Sahara is the size of, like Europe, maybe bigger than Europe. So, I just saw a wee bit of it at that time, and it was just amazing. It's just amazing to be there. And the sun was shining by this time. It was quite warm, and the wee town itself was really, it was very ancient in its structure. I mean, there was a huge area made of big stone blocks where people washed their clothes, and there was a well, a drinking water well, and different pools of water for different things. But most of them didn't need that, you know.
Nowadays.
Aye, but some women were there. There was some women using it.
And of course, you had to be checked in at the local police station, Stuart.
Which I didn't know till I was leaving. And that was a bit of a shock. And there was the incident of the coffees. They would,
of course, there was the incident of the coffee.
And the lady would ask me, and what would you? I said, cafe au lait. That's fine. And they all drank the wee bit of coffee. And I couldn't do it. I mean, I just couldn't drink. But they were fine. Didn't take the hump or anything. So, because I was a sort of celebrity, everybody ever knew came to visit us. And every night, I mean, I was there maybe a week, and every night we went somewhere to visit other people, relatives and things. And again, I'm diversifying a wee bit. One of the things I found quite good was we went there. Khaled had a wee sister of about, what age was she? About 16 or something like that, 16. And they had a cousin. So one of the families we went to, they had a cousin of the same age, two girls. So I'm just sitting talking, and they could speak a wee bit English, and they want to do that, So one of them had a hijab, and the other one, Khaled's sister, didn't wear anything over there. So they obviously weren't religious. But they were talking away to me, and I thought, fucking, where am I going to sit? The two girls were sitting in the bed. I'm not going to sit in the bed beside them. But they just said, no, just sit there. Just sit there, that's fine. So I just sat next to them and was talking away to them. So all the things I'd been told, in some places were the case. Be very, very careful how you speak to women, how you should never be alone with a woman, all this kind of stuff with them. And also, for their age, they seemed like much, much younger. They'd be 16. They were more like girls, about 13. And they were lovely, lovely girls, but they were very kind of free and easy and talking away, and it was really nice to know that. I felt quite good about that. But getting back to the coffee, so there's all these men that are sitting about, and there's maybe about 8. There's a big mug of white coffee, and
you think?
I'm assuming that's for me, and there's all these arguments. So I'm quite determined not to make an arse of myself again. So I'm saying, cafe, and I'm going, no, guess. You start. I went, oh well, okay, that's been fucking big. And I'm drinking. I'm going, fuck, it's dead sweet. And isn't it that warm? So they're still looking at me. I thought, I'm not going to leave it. I think maybe it'd be a bigger insult. Your head's spinning about how not the least way to insult somebody. So I thought, fucking, I don't really like cold coffee. So I fucking just guzzled it. I put it down. And I said to Khaled, what about you? You're not going to have the coffee? And he says, we can't. How's that? You've just drank all the milk. This was the hot milk for the coffee. And the guy says, no, j'ai une vache. I have a cow. His father said, it's okay, I've got a cow.
So somebody's dispatched to get the
milk.
That's wild, isn't it?
It's just fun. But again, they took it well. You think, oh, fuck, will they take the hump at this? But they were fine. They were really free and easy people. They were very, very nice.
And what was the food like, Stuart, during that time when you were staying with them?
A lot of rice.
Yes.
A lot of rice.
And couscous is a big thing.
Couscous was good, and chicken and things I could eat. Nothing particularly spicy, which surprised me.
Yeah.
I was quite happy about it because I don't like spicy foods. But their curries were just normal, mild curries. But
I'm assuming that probably everything would be from the land, so the chickens would be their own chickens.
Oh, I'd like to think the ones have been scratching above me the night before.
One less the next day. Aye. So, I mean, all you were met with was just absolute hospitality.
Yes.
Never-ending hospitality, and people that as you know, I've been to Dubai, and I was thinking about your own impression of the desert, because when I was out in Dubai visiting an Arab family, the father, who was a fisherman who spoke no English whatsoever, and I don't speak any Arabic, one of the girls said to me, "My father wants to take you to the desert," and I thought, not very sure about that. He had the old traditional gear on and all that, No, he said, "You must come. See his donkey. You must come." And they said, "We're not going. We're going shopping. Would you not rather come with us?" I said, "No, I want to go to the desert." So it's quite interesting how someone like me, who's a non-stop talker, can travel an hour out to the desert and find things, all that kind of thing, and, this kind of thing. And how I could spend a perfectly really nice afternoon sitting in his own wee hut. But like you, the desert for me was shrubs and bits of small bushes, nothing high, nothing tall, and not at all what I expected it to be. But of course, this is only a tiny part. And I think this week is always like a wee shack that he had was his old house.
Was that?
From where he had lived as a young boy. Because you need to remember that it's only the younger generation. Dubai was only, 60 years old. So that man would be well in his 70s, maybe even older than that. And he was a fisherman. So he would go every day and catch the fish, and the fish was incredible, that we would eat. It was come straight from the ocean. So I was thinking about that when you described it, because I thought I felt a little bit disappointed. I was looking for all these dunes and all the kind of waves within the dunes, and it was nothing like that. As far as the eye could see, it was just these wee bits of shrubs everywhere. But that was a great afternoon for me. But the other thing that I didn't know, and it comes up in your story a lot, is a bem.
Donkeys,
and I didn't know what it was, and just going bem this, bem that, and that reminds me of that bem story, and I'm like, what the fuck is this bem thing? And I'm thinking it might be a donkey. I couldn't find it on Google. It just led me into a lot of other things. So I had to put bem donkey, and so. But you mentioned that quite a lot.
I've got a phobia about donkeys.
So anyway, I know.
It's a terrible story. It's in the book, Bill.
It's in the book, yeah. So anyway, getting back to being checked in at the police station, this was Khaled's dad that said to you, "Of course, I've got to check you in here." And I forgot. He forgot to check you in as soon as you arrived. And this is you leaving now. You'd already been there for a week. So I can't remember. Did you actually go and get checked in, or they just said no because you were leaving?
He just said if you get stopped, just say you arrived just yesterday.
Right.
And this is you just going away again. So I think it's if you stay more than 24 hours, you need to be checked in.
See, they wouldn't be used to that because they never met a Western person
no for
before.
us, no.
Yeah.
Khaled had.
Yeah.
But see somebody else again, the utter stupidity of me. It was when Khaled, Khaled was visiting me, off and on when I stayed in the Hotel Salambo, it was called. Right. It's Arabic for harbour, apparently. And so I was visiting him off and on. He was at the uni, and he said, we'll go away in such and such a day. I said, all right, I'll come here. So we're going to, I had hired the car, filled it up with fuel. I've got my stuff in the back. And he says, you can't come into the university. They won't let you in. I went, okay. He says, but I'll need to take the car. It's quite a long way. And I went, okay. So I just got out and I went there was just a cafe next door. Obviously the cafe was for that. It was just outside the gates of the university. So I just sat there for about half an hour and he came back with the car and everything was fine. But that was a huge chance I took. Yeah. Again, I'm glad I took it, because if I hadn't done that, I would never probably you'd have probably taken a hump.
You probably would have, yeah.
And, you call me a liar, you call me a thief, that kind of thing. And I would never have got to meet his family and stay with his family.
It's all about trusting your gut, isn't it, Stuart, really?
But it is a mistake, Christine. You shouldn't do that. You really shouldn't do that. I mean, I can imagine saying to the police, this is what I did. So you did.
So that really was kind of the end of your time, because if we go back to what you said in the previous episode, that Geraldine, your wife, had said to you, because you were feeling unwell, head for Malta. So you're now having to change your plans, really.
I'm having to
head
leave
for
Africa.
Malta.
Unfortunately,
Leave
this
Africa.
is what broke my heart, to leave Africa.
Aye.
And I'd hoped to be able to come back, but it took me another 4 years to come back.
Yeah.
But the really funny thing, though, one of the funny stories again, Christine, was when I went back to the Hotel Salambo, and it was these two brothers who ran it, and it was about 4 stories high. And I didn't realise, I was just speaking to them in French all the time, my poor French, and he actually could speak English. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just spoke French to them without thinking.
Yeah.
And normally people would say, oh, I can speak English, so I'll speak to English. They were fine. They must have thought, well, he wants to speak French, well, I can speak French.
Yeah.
So I comes back, I was
day.
up to stay over. I maybe stay another 2 days or something. But this is me back from Khaled's place up in the mountains.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, he's talking away to me. And they speak to me in English. I'm like, oh, fuck. You can speak English. He goes, oh, how did you get on? And I told him, it's great to see you back. Great to see you back. Where would you like? I says, well, how about my old room 42? Give us half an hour. Fuck, all right. So I'm just kind of wondering about, and I'm kind of wondering about, and I hear this shouting and screaming. And there was people in 42, they slung them out. I hope they put them somewhere else. It wasn't even a great room. I don't know why I was even bothered. I mean, I probably would have got a better room, because it was probably a fucking rotten room compared to everywhere else. But at least I quite liked it. I felt at home again, because I've been there for a wee while. But I was fucking shouting and screaming. And the other guy, the guy from Algeria that I met, when I told you about him, and I had never met. But a lot of the Arab people are very, very, they just show express, they're quite loud in their expressions and don't hold back, and we're not used to that. Anyway, so I meets this guy, and when I first went into the Hotel Salambo, meets this guy, and somebody introduces me to him, and this. There was an even funnier story. There's this guy who was a translator, right? He was an older guy. And I said, oh, how do you get on? He says, oh, it's good. Got quite a lot of tourists. Tourist season's starting now, so I'm quite good. And I says, he says, with Japanese people, brilliant people, great people, spend money, great people, wonderful people, hardworking. I said, so I had noticed quite a lot of Chinese people about in Europe before that. And I thought, I wonder if they've made it here. I says, what about the Chinese? Fucking Chinese, fucking hate them, he says. Fucking spend nothing, only use the toilet.
Somebody else told me that as well, actually, poor Chinese.
So anyway, I've got introduced to this other guy at the same table, this other guy, and whatever his name was, Abdul or something. How you doing, Abdul? Fucking terrible. He's fucking raging. He's raging at me. And he speaks perfect English, knows every swear word that's going, tells me he's worked in Norway, UK. He's worked everywhere, in USA and Canada, in the oil business. And he's in between constant swearing and anger. He had left Algeria well before, and he was wanting to get back, and he left under some sort of cloud, and they were wanting a bribe off him before he get back, So I was taken aback, with the ferocity and his
honesty
voice.
about it as well.
He was really ferocious, and you think, fuck, is he going to attack me? Because he's not going to attack. He's not angry with me. It's just the way he speaks. And I said, oh well, I hope things get better. And he calmed down. He was fine. He wasn't angry at me at all. It's just the situation he was in. So when I came back a week or so later, I met him in the street, and I went, Abdul, how's things? Fucking fuckers are still.
No further forward.
No progress.
Oh God.
I think it was worse. They wanted more money off him for the bribe.
God. Well, I think that's a pretty standard thing, that I know somebody who was in a kind of similar situation from that, and I think similar time as well. So it is a pretty standard thing that you have to cross my palm with silver, and it's pretty out in the open. It's not hidden in any way.
Well, that's the reason he was in Tunisia, because it's the next country to it. So he was hoping to be able to negotiate and get back in, and I hope he made it. I hope he made it back.
I hope so too. So here kind of ends this part, and you're kind of saying in the book how you had a bit of a tear in your eye because you'd met such lovely people, and had some really lovely opportunities to see areas and meet people, see things that you probably would never have been able to see had it not been for the lovely people that you had met. So whilst you weren't feeling, were you feeling worse, or was the tiredness? I saw the one photograph where you had holding a stick.
I had a stick.
So you had a stick by that time.
Because I remember when I went to Carthage, with the other guy. I wish I could remember his name. His name's in there anyway. But I thought, fuck, I'll need to get, it was all hills, it's all quite steep hills. I thought, I need to get myself a stick, It's not very good for your vanity walking about with a stick. But
oh, don't I know it? But I mean, so your plans were thwarted in a way because of your health, and your wife had said, "Come and rest," didn't she? Have a month or something like that. I think she said in Malta and kind of assess how things are
go back
then.
If I like, and go back.
And go back, if you feel, just to sort of give yourself a break and have a bit of luxury, if you like, some proper bed to sleep in and nice food and that kind of thing.
I had all that, it was just...
It's just too far away, Stuart, if anything was to go wrong.
If anything was to go wrong, Christine, it's not the place to be.
And so therefore, really your health deterioration, although you didn't really know at that time what it was, made you take a different direction. So when we pick up next episode, we're going to pick up in Tunisia.
Leaving Tunisia.
Sorry, Malta. Beg your pardon. So many places and getting mixed up now. So we're about to head into a mentalist in Malta. That's the next section. So and we probably would start with an update on your health when we look at next time and see, because that of course was the reason for you to go. But of course your wife was going to join you.
Yes.
So that was, you hadn't seen her for a long time, and that was...
She stayed for a fortnight.
Right. So what month are we in, Stuart, now? This is March. March or April.
Aye.
So you went away in February, so you've not really been away that long.
No.
You're only really February, March, maybe a month in Africa.
Which
so it wasn't long.
It was meant to be 6 months.
But you did make the most of it and meet lovely people and really got to see a lot and exposed to a lot of really nice and real profound examples of hospitality, definitely. So I'm sure you were sad, bittersweet.
Oh, absolutely. Tear in my eye.
Definitely.
Even when I think about it now, there's nearly a tear in my eye.
Yeah. So there, folks, we leave part 2 of Abam Abroad, Stuart's adventures.
Odyssey.
Who knows how many episodes we're going to be? We're not even halfway through the book yet. So it's all good. Great stories. Are you ever going to hear stories like this from an actual person? It's just incredible stories. And of course, I am a very proud sister that is the very man sitting across from me. And at that age decides just to go and do something so adventurous as that. None of us can beat you on that one, Stuart. So well done. And it's great to share your story with other people. Your own family know your story inside out, but now it's the time for other people to enjoy it too. So there ends our episode today. We're ending part 2 of Stuart's story, and we'll pick it up next week, where Stuart moves to Malta and what happens then and what happens with his health. All will be revealed then. So as always, you can find us on Facebook, on TikTok and on Instagram, and our podcast is out every Thursday. You can find it on Spotify and YouTube, and thanks for everybody for enjoying it. Thank you particularly in Spotify for all your lovely comments, your encouragement, and all I can say is tell your friends. It is a podcast. Please come and join us. We really enjoy your company. Thanks for watching today, and we'll see you next time. So it's bye from me.
A bientôt.
From Stuart.
Stuart d'Afrique.
Okay, see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye.